Alright everybody, it's the third video in the series. I've already covered Pilot Hunter and CTF as far as capping the flag is concerned, so let's talk about some hardpoint, what is that? Anyway, this game mode has slowly become my second favorite as it makes for some pretty intense matches with technical thinking and execution a must for victories. The goal of this video is to provide tips on how to strategically think when entering a game of hardpoint and the steps necessary to help your team nab a win. Notice I said help your team. This is one of those game modes where it will be completely impossible to carry as it requires your team to be somewhat competent in holding an advantage, aka at least 2 of the 3 hard points. Leaping off of that point, the first tip I have for you is simple, but maybe the difference between you winning and losing. Use your headset. Sometimes when playing with randoms, I will invite people into my team just so that we can have communication during the more strategic game modes. What if they don't have a headset, you ask? Then you can still use yours to deliver pertinent information. Just got killed in point C? Let your team know about that pilot camping behind the box with the shotgun. Feeding your team information will only help you grab that win in the long run. If you don't have a headset, then I would suggest picking one up. It's an underrated component of your FPS toolkit and can only help propel your game further. This will especially come in handy for using your ears to help determine the proximity of an enemy. Remember, if you hear somebody jumping around and there isn't a friendly dot near you on the map, it's about to go down. Next tip, don't bunch up in one hardpoint. I've routinely seen 3 or 4 pilots all join me in a hardpoint while the other ones are still under enemy control. If this happens, set the example by moving on to another point as soon as it's capped. Now, of course, this tip could be rendered obsolete if you already have control of all 3 hardpoints or strategically holding 2 of 3. In that case, holding your ground would be the best strategy. Just make sure that you keep a tally of who's in there with you. So if you have 4 in your hardpoint, chances are you guys aren't using your resources wisely. Unless, of course, you have Rambo holding the other one, then that's fine. Next tip. Going back to the point I just made, remember that you can win with just 2 out of 3 hardpoints. Every now and again, you'll run into a team that is oddly in love with a specific hardpoint. You know, that team that guards a point like it's Area 51, the snipers on the roof, assault rifles in the bushes, and shotguns inside. Don't let your pride cloud your judgment. If you know you're not able to clear them out, you're only wasting time that it could have been used to cap another point that isn't Fort Knox. At the end of the day, all that matters is that you end up with 400 points quicker than they do. Okay? Next tip. Now the tips I mentioned mostly talk about situations in where you kind of have the upper hand, but what if you're the one down and 2 or 3 of the hard points are in enemy control? The first thing I try to assess is, where are my teammates? Time is of the essence, and getting control of at least one hard point is essential to turning this game around. The first thing I do is I try to find a point that already has 1 or 2 pilots near. The reason I do this is even if I go down in a firefight, the person who got me will have given up his position and should be easy cleanup for my teammates. If I do die, I immediately rush back to the point as I have a general idea of the pilot who killed me's whereabouts. Remember, if you have... just remember to have your head on a swivel. If your teammate knows what's going on, so does their team. And the person you kill will more than likely head back to the same hardpoint as well. My rule of thumb is to hold a point when we have a lead and 2 or more hard points, or 2 or 3. And to capture another one when we are far behind and only holding on to 1. Obviously, it's very simple information, but I don't really always see it applied. This is definitely subject to change based on the situation, though. For example, if we have 2 of 3 hard points and we are down 315 to 375, I'd make a run for the hard point as we will not be able to catch up in time without it. On the flip side, if we are down 120 to 180, we can make a strategic move to hold 2 of the 3 hard points and come out with a victory. Sometimes that comes into play when you have 2 or 3 Titans and a Titan capable point. You know, it may not make the most sense to kind of deal with them until you get a Titan, so we'll just hold down 2 of the 3. And still, again, you can rack up more points that way than they would be able to, obviously. This is where your decision-making abilities will come in, and I will tell you that there isn't always a right answer to choosing which hardpoint to attack. You get better at making these knee-jerk reactions the more you play and you get a feel for the point system. Alright, next tip. Before I get into my pilot loadout, though, the breakdown of actually capping a point is the next thing I want to talk about, but for now, let's talk about the Titan that I use in this mode. The Titan I bring to this game mode is built for one purpose: to kill other Titans. I cannot stress how important this is, and being successful in this game mode, being successful in this game mode, as Titan control, on the other team can make your life a living hell. We all know that there's at least one Titan capable point on each map. The real problem is that Titans can still damage enemies in pretty much every point on the map. I don't know how many times I've walked into a point only to get triple threaded by the enemy. What's even worse is without friendly fire damage, enemy pilots can still cap those points with little to no fear of being taken out. So let's break it down. I use an Atlas, first of all, just because, obviously I love the Strider as well, but, in a situation where I'm trying to have some survivability amongst, multiple Titans in an enclosed space, that extra health and shield, it just helps a little bit. 40mm, simply because it's awesome at taking down pilots, but still very capable, taking out Titans, but still very capable of taking out pilots. The splash damage is an extra bonus for those tight spaces. The tight corridors the pilots tend to camp in. I can shoot a few, even if I can't get a direct hit on them. The splash damage normally will get them. Particle wall to avoid as much damage as possible while still landing primary shots. That's pretty self-explanatory. Like I said, Vortex Shield is great for avoiding damage. Unfortunately, it renders my 40mm obsolete, can't use it, and I want to be able to have control of that at all times, so Particle Walls will work for me. Cluster Missile to kind of deny space and also clear out hard points. As you can see just there, I just did it just now. And then I use auto eject and nuclear, and there's a specific reason for that. The reason is I want to clear out as many Titans as possible before going back on foot. If my health gets low, I will simply take my Titan to a Titan capable location and fight to the death. Typically, I attract the attention of other enemy Titans during these fights, and when they do rush in to take me all out and finally do, they're stuck, and I can clear out 2 or 3 of them at once with a nuclear, thus leveling the playing field to just pilots again. Now for my last tip, actually capping a hard point. The information in this tip will kind of be similar to my CTF video with a few twists. I never run in gung-ho in a hard point, as that's a quick way to get killed, you don't even know where these people are. So I dip my toe. Now, let me explain that. I remember, when you were a kid and you wanted to see how cold the water was, think of it like that. I take a very small step in to see if the room is contested. If it isn't, I will enter, arc mine the entrances, and keep an eye on the ones I couldn't. If they come in through the mine entrance, you have the advantage of knowing their location and them having blurred vision. After you kill them, be sure to relocate though, as they can see where you were on the kill cam. Rinse and repeat until you have fully capped that point. If the point is contested, I kind of take a different approach. There's a couple ways I might go about it. I might arc mine the entrances, and then go outside and come through a different window and attempt to confuse them. If they do come through the door or the window or whatever I arc mined the initial time, they risk being arc mined and giving up the position for an easy death. Most of the time, I poke and prod on all the available entry points, looking at known hiding spots and attempt to find them. If I don't see them, I can toss arc mines in locations where I think they might be and enter through a location that would force them towards it. Now for the loadout, I would recommend R97 with scatterfire. The shotgun works on many maps where you can wall run while capping a point, but it can be an issue on hard points with a longer vantage point. So a lot of players, like I said, for the most part, people still play with carbines, anything with a little bit of range. So you want to be able to pick them off if they're at the back of a hallway or in a very large hard point. So it gives you a little bit of range while still remaining deadly up close. Arc mines are excellent in this mode because they ensure a hit and are much harder to avoid, as they have no notification of their whereabouts other than auditory cues. They can be used offensively or defensively and serve as a makeshift alarm system that can alert you to enemy's position. The sizzling sound it makes post being set off is also a great indicator to a hiding pilot's position. In a mode where situational awareness and getting the drop on your enemy is so important, I found Stealth Kit to be a blessing, since you make no noise when entering a hard point except if you have a tactical ability, activated, of course. The only thing that an enemy has to go on is their hand-eye coordination. Without this ability, using Stealth Kit, a pilot can easily hear you coming, figure out your general direction, and already have you lined up in his sights by the time you enter. Why let him get the drop on you? Now, any tactical ability can work in this game mode. I use STIM, but I definitely see the value of active radar pulse when defending or entering a point. Same thing with Cloak. I can see the value of that. If you have a bunch of people kind of camping the hard point, you know, you could pop your cloak, and they're using active radar pulse. Excuse me. You can pop cloak and have, you know, not have to worry about them kind of tracking you as you're going in. So, you know, just choose what's most comfortable for you. I like STIM just simply because, you know, once you kill somebody, more than likely there's going to be somebody else following him, and it gives you an opportunity to not only move with superhuman speeds, but to regenerate before the next batch of people kind of come in. So yeah, that's my video. Those are my tips. Again, these are just things that have worked for me. If you have any questions or you know, want any more information, feel free to leave a comment. I'm going to be posting this on the forum, and then of course on the YouTube page you can leave a comment as well. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think, and yeah, have a good day.